Let us first ask the Lord for guidance and strength to face today's challenges. Mr. John Michael, please lead the prayer.
Let us bow our heads and feel the shadows of prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Good morning, everyone. So, how have you been doing lately? Miss Garbo?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm doing fine.
Very fine. Okay. Miss Pastor Fide, can you share to the class how did you start your day?
So I started my day by doing some of my morning routine.
Okay, thank you. So, that's great that everyone is doing well, and I hope that you all listen to our discussion today. So now for the checking of your attendance, just simply raise your hand and say present once your name is called. Okay? Garbo.
Present.
Singson.
Present.
Pastor Fide.
Present.
Jodoko.
Present, ma'am.
De La Serna. Okay. So that's good that everyone is present. Prior to diving into our discussion, I am kindly asking all of you to tidy up the area around your seats and to also adhere to our classroom rules in order for us to have a nurturing and safe learning environment. Okay. So now, can anyone recall what was our previous topic? Mr. Abuyo.
So we have discussed about the poem and songs in the previous discussion.
So, can you share the important elements of poem?
The important elements of poem are structure, form, rhyme and meter, and the theme.
Okay, thank you. So, I am delighted that you all have learned something from our previous discussion. So, before we begin our formal discussion, we are going to have a fun and short activity. Is that all right?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so wait. Word search puzzle, and I need 4 students to come up to the board and find the hidden words inside this puzzle. So, once you've found the words, you're going to encircle them using the marker. So, you have to come here one by one. Please go. Next. Thank you, everyone. So, based on the activity that you have done, what do you think is our topic for today, Mr. De La Serna?
Based
based on the activity that was just done, I think the topic for today will revolve around the tone, the technique, the purpose, and the mood of the author.
Okay, that's right. Okay, now that everyone has a clear understanding of today's focus, which is the tone, mood, technique, and purpose of the author, at the end of the lesson, you are expected to, number one, identify the tone, mood, technique, and purposes of the author in a given text. Second, express personal interpretations of the author's tone, mood, and techniques, demonstrating an understanding of how these elements contribute to the overall impact of the text through a discussion. Lastly, produce a podcast discussing the tone, mood, techniques, and purpose of the author. Okay, so now let us have another activity. This time, I will group you into two. Okay. So I have here sheets of paper, and you are going to complete the tables. So the first group will identify the purpose used by the author, and then the second group will identify the techniques used by the author. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes to do this activity. You may start now. Okay, so everyone, time is up. You may submit your papers now. Thank you. Okay, so now that you have completed this activity, we will check your answers. So let's check the answers of group 1 first. Okay. So Mr. Singson, why do you think that the purpose of the author is to persuade?
I think the purpose of the author is persuading because the speaker convinces someone to say yes to the view of the
Okay, thank you. Miss Pastor Phoebe, why do you think that the purpose of the statement is to inform?
This statement provides background information about the literary work and its central theme, aiming to educate the audience about the story's significance.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. De La Serna, why do you think that the statement's purpose is to persuade?
I think because it provides arguments aiming to convince the audience of its good.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Mr. Simpson, why do you think that the purpose of this statement is to entertain?
Another purpose of the statement is to entertain because the statement introduces a fictional story with elements of adventure and fantasy intended to captivate and amuse the audience.
Yes, so there's to be captivating
Yes.
attention and amusement. And lastly, Ms. Pastor Pide, why do you think that the purpose of this statement is to also inform?
I think because it provides information about the American Revolution and its historical significance.
Yes, from the word information. And let's proceed to the answers of the video. So, Ms. Garbo, what makes the text expository?
I think what makes the text expository is because these lines introduce a widely accepted truth within the society depicted in the novel.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abuyog, why do you think that the text is descriptive?
Because the line vividly describes the atmospheric conditions setting the scene for the story.
So it's describing the setting and
Yes.
everything. Ms. Jiloko, why do you think that the text is persuasive?
It is because this is from a speech of Abraham Lincoln aiming to persuade the audience of the importance of preserving the Union and the principles of liberty and equality.
Okay, that's right. Thank you. Ms. Garbo, what makes you think that the statement is a narrative one?
I think because these lines sets the stage for the novel by constructing the experience of the time period in which the story is set.
Okay, that's right. Thank you. Okay, and lastly, Mr. Buyog, what makes the statement persuasive?
So the statement makes persuasive because the line uses vivid imagery to describe Juliet's beauty and its effect on those around.
That's right. So, good work, everyone. And now, to clearly understand our topic, we will delve deeper into the intricacies of the tone, mood, technique, and purpose of the author, and examine how these elements intertwine to shape the narrative and convey underlying messages. So the first one is the tone. Ms. Pastor Phoebe, kindly read the definition.
Tone is the attitude of the author towards a given topic. The tone is expressed through the words of the author.
That's right, thank you. So the tone of the author can either be objective or subjective. So an objective tone is unbiased and neutral. Take note of that. And the author uses concise, clear, and courteous words which are based on facts, which makes the text formal. While the subjective tone uses words that conveys emotions, feelings, and thoughts, which may be referred as creative as well as formal. So according to Ellen, as a reader, you must read between the lines to feel the attitude of the author and identify the tone. So we have here an example. Ms. Gordo, can you read the sentence?
This house shall be, but since we grew up here, it has a special place in my heart.
Thank you. Mr. Simpson, what do you think is the tone portrayed in this sentence?
I think the tone is sentimental because of the phrase, it has a special place in my heart, which denotes sentiment and which expresses warm-hearted emotions.
That's right. So it emphasizes a tender and affectionate, which likely delves into personal connections, nostalgia, and cherished memories, evoking a sense of fondness and affection. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So next is the mood. Miss Garbo, can you read it?
Mood refers to the emotions that arise in the reader or the atmosphere of the text. The mood is developed through the setting, tone, and picture.
Okay, thank you. You will understand that mood is different from tone in a way that it is the emotion that the author wanted the readers to feel from reading a text. Okay, so some positive moods include cheerful, calm, dreamy, excited, and happy. While being angry, depressed, envious, and frustrated are some of the negative moods. So here we have an example. Miss Pastor Phoebe, can you read the sentence?
She hesitated, listening for sound of the preacher. The forest seemed empty, but she could sense something else out there, something watching and breathing.
Thank you. Mr. Rabuyo, what do you think is the mood portrayed in this statement?
So the mood in this passage is suspenseful and as indicated by the sense of anticipation and tension created by the characters, hesitation, and the feeling of being watched by an unseen presence in the forest.
That's right. So the use of words like hesitated, listening, and watching and waiting heightens the atmosphere of uncertainty and apprehension, keeping the reader on edge. Just take note of the difference between the tone and mood. When we say tone, it is the attitude of the author, and when we say mood, it is the emotion of the author. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So to continue the discussion, I will call on Ms. Laika Nungay. Thank you.
Alright, good morning everyone. I am Laika Nungay from DSED English 3. So to continue our discussion, let's move on to the author's technique. So Ms. Galliano, could you please read the definition displayed on the screen? Alright, thank you Ms. Galliano. So the technique of an author refers to the specific methods and strategies they use to convey their message and engage their audience. So these techniques can include various literary devices. Say, for example, authors have used foreshadowing. So foreshadowing is a writing technique in which a writer includes hints in the text, letting readers know what will happen at the end of the story. So, class, what do you think are the 4 basic literary styles used in writing? All right, thank you for raising your hand, Miss Kapangpangan. Okay. Okay, very good, Miss Kapangpangan. So, we have 4 basic literary styles in writing. All right, so first we have the expository or argumentative. So, kindly read Miss Delizon. Okay, thank you, Ms. Delizon. So, in expository or argumentative, the focus is to tell the readers about a specific subject or topic, but the author leaves out his own opinions about the topic. So, it aims to inform or explain. So, say for example, a textbook passage explaining the rules of grammar, providing clear explanations and examples to help students understand sentence structure and punctuation. So next we have the descriptive. Kindly read Miss Garbo. Okay, thank you, Miss Garbo. So in descriptive writing, the focus is to describe an event, a character, or a place in detail. So the author here usually incorporates sensory details in the texts. Another one is in descriptive writing, it focuses on painting a vivid picture for the reader using detailed observations and sensory details often found in poetry or nature writing. So, for example, a poem describing a serene meadow with vivid imagery evoking the sights, sounds, and smells of the natural landscape. So, the third one is persuasive. Kindly read Mr. Apuyog. All right, thank you, Mr. Abuyog. So, the author gives reasons and justifications to make the readers believe his point of view in persuasive writing. So the aim of these texts is to actually persuade or convince the readers. Also in persuasive writing, it seeks to convince the reader to adopt a certain viewpoint or take a specific action commonly seen in opinion pieces, advertisements, and speeches. Say for example, a persuasive essay reading for a pleasure, presenting compelling reasons and examples to convince readers of the benefits of leisure reading for personal development and well-being. And we have the fourth one, the narrative. Kindly read Ms. Kapangpangan. Okay, thank you, Ms. Kapangpangan. So in narrative, the author here narrates a story like in novels, short stories, biographies, and poetries. So, narrative writing tells a story with examples ranging from novels and short stories to memoir and anecdotes. So, a short story recounting a child's adventure in a magical forest with engaging characters and a plot that follows their journey and discoveries along the way is one of the examples in narrative writing. Alright, so since we're done discussing the four basic literary styles, we come now to the purpose of the author. Mr. Timbal, kindly read. Alright, thank you, Mr. Timbal. So, the author's purpose is the reason they decided to write about something in the first place. So, it is universally accepted that there are three basic categories of author's purpose. The first one is to inform, the second one is to persuade, and the last one is to entertain. So this can easily be remembered with the PI acronym. The first one is the purpose, the second one is to inform, and the last one is to entertain. So to persuade, first, the author aims to convince the reader to agree with a particular viewpoint or takes a specific action. So this can be seen in opinion pieces, advertisements, or political speeches. Again, persuasive writing aims to influence the reader's beliefs or actions using arguments, evidence, and rhetorical strategies to make a convincing case. The next one is to inform. So the author aims to provide factual information to the reader, such as in textbooks, news articles, or research papers. So informative writing aims to provide readers with knowledge and understanding, often through clear and straightforward presentation of facts and information. And the last one is to entertain. So the author aims to engage and amuse the reader through storytelling, humor, or other means. So this includes genres such as fiction, poetry, and humor. Again, entertaining writing seeks to amuse and engage the reader, often through compelling characters, plot twists, and emotional appeal. So, did you understand the concepts of the author's tone, mood, technique, and purpose? All right, that's good. So, always remember that tone reflects the author's attitude towards this subject matter, while mood encompasses the emotions elicited in the reader or the atmosphere of the text. So take note also that the importance of the narrative, descriptive, persuasive, and expository techniques in literature. So these techniques enable us, the readers, to get a glimpse into the author's creative process, deepening our connection to the literary pieces we read. Also, in understanding the author's purpose, whether to inform, entertain, or persuade, it allows us to engage critically with the text and consider its broader implications. So it is important that we understand these concepts and its interconnectedness in shaping our interpretation and appreciation of literature. All right, let's assess what you have learned from our discussion. Now, what we're going to do is you will analyze a poem titled "To the Virgins Make Match of Time" by Robert Herrick. You need to identify and describe the elements of tone, mood, technique, and purpose used by the author. So this will help you practice recognizing and understanding these key literary elements. So in this activity, you will be divided into 4 groups. So the first group will identify the tone of the poem. The second group will identify the mood of the poem. The third group will analyze the technique used by the author. And the last one, the fourth group, will describe the purpose of the author based on what you have learned from our discussion. So consecutively, you will select one member from your group to present your work. And you will be given 5 minutes to do the group activity. And once all the groups are done, another 3 minutes for the presentation of your answers. So you will write your answers on a bond paper together with a copy of the poem, which I will give you before you start with the activity. So is this instruction clear? Okay, your time starts now. All right, let's assess how much we've learned from our discussion. So for the evaluation, please get 1/4 sheet of paper because we're about to have a quiz. So this quiz will give us insight into our comprehension of the material covered and identify areas that may require additional review. Okay, are you done now? Please pass your papers to the front. All right, thank you. So for your assignment, you will create a podcast within the next 5 days that delves into the tone, mood, techniques, and purpose employed by the author of the poem, Song to Celia by Ben Jonson. So your podcast should thoroughly analyze and discuss these elements, providing insightful commentary and examples from the texts. So upon completion, submit your podcast online through Messenger for evaluation. Refer to the provided rubric as a guide for developing your analysis. All right, class, that concludes our discussion for today. Thank you for listening.